anyway, there's always been this ongoing debate about globalization, like it's a new fucking phenomenon that just appeared on the scene here in the last 75 years and led to the downfall of American manufacturing. I want to clarify what led to the downfall of American manufacturing. That was called globalization and offshoring. And it wasn't because we didn't have the workers. It wasn't because we didn't have the technology. It wasn't because we weren't good at it, because we were the best. It was because jobs started really getting offshored in the 70s and up until now because it was cheaper to make shit of less value that would have to be replaced. So we, the consumers, our label, the consumers, fuck you whoever came up with that, just a big shout out. We're not consumers, we're fucking human beings, we're people. Anyhow, the reason that offshoring was so successful and is the bane of our existence today is because of corporate greed. Seriously. Why would you pay somebody $15 an hour to make sneakers in the United States of America when you could pay somebody in China, India, Pakistan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, India, take your fucking pick, to do the same job for 50 cents an hour? Now, the product isn't going to be as good, but you know what? Corporations don't give a shit. Everything today, and I covered this in a previous podcast that most people haven't seen. It's about advertising, and it's about planned obsolescence. And planned obsolescence is not some sort of terminology. It's a real thing. It's a corporate strategy. Because it makes sense. If your car lasted for 20 years, how often would you buy a fucking car? But if your car goes to shit every 5 years, ironically, at the same time that you paid off your loan, then you have to buy another one. So that allows us to continue to sell cars. See? And the car dies after 5 years, right after you paid it off, because that's a plan. You know what's really desirable? I'm going to be all over the map right now, so just bear with me and stick with it. This should be entertaining and educational as fucking always if you can maintain the attention span. What's one of the hottest collector's items out there on eBay nowadays and in antique stores all across the country is vintage toys. Vintage Tonka trucks and Barbie dolls and you name it. Wagons, you know, remember the Red Rider, the Red Flyer wagon that, well, you wouldn't remember if you're a child born anytime after 1990, but prior to that, there would be memory. Now, there is a sense of nostalgia in buying old toys, but also there's a really strong rationale because old toys last. Because they were built to last. Because quality mattered back then. And the majority of those toys that you see were made out of steel and rubber and tin and real components. And a lot of them had a stamp underneath that said made in the USA. When was the last time you saw a toy for a child that was made in the USA? Think about that for a few minutes. How long was it? How long has it been? I'll bet a lot of you have never even seen a toy that was made in the USA. Because it was cheaper for Hasbro, Mattel, all of these fucking toy manufacturers to make them where? Yeah, you guessed it. Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, China, India. I already went through the fucking list. So they could make more profit. Now, all these toys they make now, they're all a piece of shit. Think about it. Once again, I talked about this in a previous episode about advertising. Do you feel good now? You buy Johnny a toy at Walmart, it costs $30, you bring it home, they play with it for 3 days, and it breaks. You're going to go buy another one. That was a plan. There is no quality anymore. I'm going to jump to politics in a minute because I'm pissed as fuck. And I got to get this out on camera, on my podcast, because I want people to never forget. But Anyway, globalization has been around forever. For fucking ever. Obviously, the majority of you have never heard of the Silk Road, the Spice Road, spice ships in Europe and in Asia and in Russia and in China. You have no idea. You don't even know who Marco Polo is. You think Marco Polo's a game you play in a pool. You have no idea about Marco Polo, the adventurer, traveler, explorer, and chronicler of the Silk Road back, I don't know, about 1,000 years ago. You don't know anything about Hannibal, you know nothing about Rome, you know nothing about the collapse of Rome, the creation of Christianity as we know it today. I get it. You don't know any of that shit because you don't know. For people who do know, or think that they might know, or that they might even be interested in knowing, a good place to start is with Charles C. Mann. 2 books, 1491 and 1493. If you really want to hear the history of colonization of South America specifically, and also China and Hawaii, and why Hawaii became such an important place, take a gander, spend some time. This is Heavy Lifting, Charles C. Mann, 1491.